Rutledge, and I cannot wait for the show to start because spending Tuesday mornings with you is a highlight of my week. And if you're listening or watching on one of my pages, be sure to give StreamYard permission so I can see your name and I can see your comments. And let me know where you're tuning in from so I can give you a shout out on the air. I know we have a global audience, and I want to acknowledge you for taking the time to listen to me.
Hey, everybody.
For those of you in my time zone, and for those of you who are way out of it. I also want to welcome your questions and your comments. Now, I got running, so I can get ready. See you soon.
Good morning. I am so excited to be here. And Jerry, I'm turning my volume down on my phone so I don't get as much feedback. Can you still hear me? Okay, great. And hopefully everybody can hear me online. I am so excited to be here in New York doing the show today. I am at the Lounge Studios in NYC, Black owned studio, podcast studios, video recording studios. They do music videos. I mean, you got it, and they're doing it. And so I am thrilled that I was able to get in and do that here. And yeah, so we're gonna jump in. So I am going. It's going to be an interesting show today because normally I have everything ready to go. Stuff is good. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. But we've talked about the fact that sometimes inspiration just comes like when it just happens. And I tell you what, this is this has been an interesting show. If you're on one of my, by the way, if you're on one of my streaming pages, if you'll just let me know that you can hear me, that would be awesome. And welcome everyone around the globe for being here. I really love it. So as I got here to New York, so I'm here to do some work with a client of mine who I love dearly. Good morning. Y'all are in Austin, Mama Young. Good morning. Good morning. I am here in New York doing some work for a client and came in a little early, and that was the first thing, right? So we all have our routines. And I'm going to talk about voting because we always talk about voting, but I'm going to talk about voting here at the end. But we always have our routines. And I knew I was coming. I still have a few more things I want to do to get ready and make sure, in the right headspace. Got all packed early, all of the things. But it took me a while, it seemed, to kind of get my mind right for this, because what am I going to do with scheduling? Because I've got meetings, I've got client meetings, I've got this meeting with the client, I've got to fly back home, we've got a anniversary dinner this week. I mean, the schedule was just a little nuts. And so I'm here. I got here. I got to call Chase because my card started acting weird. I mean, just all the things, right? So I get here, get ready to get started. Don't have every cord in the world except the cord for my laptop. Seriously. And I'm in New York, which means I don't have a car, right? I'm not trying to take a subway or a train, right? Y'all. And so I'm having to run across the street because I forgot some other stuff. So I'm running to the little Walgreens, Duane Reade across the street. So thank goodness I'm staying right across the street from one. Got my Uber, did 2 stops, went to get the Apple thing. It's in the World Trade Center. And I had not been to the World Trade Center since they redid it. And it's beautiful. And walked in there, they got all these little shops and things. I'm like, oh Lord, now I got to run around here and find the Apple store. Finally found the Apple store. Then we get back in the New York traffic, trying to find the place. Y'all, it was a thing. And I'm here in New York City doing a show pop up with all of you guys around the world, right? So we have to recognize that sometimes, a lot of times, things are just going to be messy. They're just going to be messy. And if we can just stick to what the overall plan is or plan was, then we're going to be fine, right? We're going to be fine. We find a way to be resilient, right? I found an Apple store. I found one closed. I got an Uber. I went and got the thing. I came back. It's plugged in. So I know my computer is going to work, right? We just find a way to make it work. We find a way to push through the things that are not as we planned, right? Because not everything is going to be the way we planned it. It's just not. That's not the way life happens. Life is lifing. Life is lifing a lot lately. And so today, as I'm coming to you here from New York, it's really about when those things come up, and I'm especially talking to you entrepreneurs, this happens in careers as well, but I'm especially talking to you entrepreneurs or you guys who have a side hustle, right? Guys being a general term, you all having a side hustle it is very rare that the road is going to be straight, period. It's also rare that any straight road is going to stay straight for any long period of time. There's always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be some kind of detours. There's always going to be something that pops up, not what you intended or wanted or needed it to be. Always. Right? Especially if you're traveling. Thank you, Lord, for traveling grace, right? We got in, we were late, but the plane got here and it got here in one piece. And the kid that started screaming as soon as I got on the plane actually calmed down once we took off. Thank you, Jesus. I can't imagine poor parents trying to wrangle kids that are just not happy on a plane. And, it was just fine. It was just fine. Got here to a great hotel, had a great sleep. It's going to be fine. And so what's important for us as we are trying to move through all of the things we need to do, all of the goals we have to accomplish, all of the visions we have, right? These big visions of making impact. We have got to, number one, really know what it is. I've talked a lot about being clear on that vision, right? Know who you are first, but then getting clear on that vision, because when things go crazy, you have got to be ready for that to not throw you completely off, right? You've got to be ready for that to not be the end game, because if it is, then you are going to be completely thrown off of all the things that you want to do, right? You're going to be taken out of the game. You're going to start to doubt your confidence, your competence, your ability to do it, whether your vision was clear. You're going to start doubting all the things. And it's not about that, right? If you've been really clear on what it is you wanted and why you wanted it and who was going to be doing it and all the things, right? It's all going to be fine. It's all going to be fine, because it's not about the hiccups. It's not about the potholes. It's about the learning from that. It's about the jumping over the stream, right? Or shoot, it's about running through the puddle and getting your feet wet and then knowing that the next time you just don't step in that puddle. It's about all the things, right? It's really important that we remember that part of any journey to anything that you really want includes some stumbles along the way, right? And I'm going to take a really quick, I need to grab something, which is really weird. So this is live radio. You guys have never seen me do this before, but I'm going to have to do it today because I want to make sure that we've got really good audio here and not some of the feedback that I'm getting. And I want to make sure that you guys have a quality experience as well. So forgive the little brief time off camera while I grab my little headphones here so that we can get back to it. So anyway, so as I was driving up here and getting prepared for the show and trying to decide, hey, how are we going to do this? And what is this going to look like this time? And what are we going to talk about? Because, there's stuff. There's lots of stuff to talk about. I said, I think what's important, especially as we all come off the 4th, and as we all come off of the times that we have where, it's easy for all of us to just sit home, for all of us to just get really angry, to lose our minds, for lack of a better word. It's really important to stay focused on what it is you're trying to do. I am going to an event at the end of the week, a networking event. And it just so happens that my marketing person told me about this. And then someone else I'm connected to who you're going to see on the radio show, Legina is going to come back to the radio show as a guest, and we're going to have a lot of fun because we had a blast the first time. She told me about this person. She said, "Oh, I've got somebody you need to meet, and we're having this networking thing." And I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. Somebody else told me about that, and I already got my ticket." And as I was thinking about that and everything else that was on my calendar, the first thing that comes up for me as an introvert, as somebody who's got a lot of stuff on their calendar, not enough white space on my calendar, which makes me really anxious. It was going to be really easy for me to say, you know what, never mind. I won't make it. I'm not going to make this one. I'm coming back. As soon as I come back, I've got an appointment as soon as I land. And then the next day I'm getting back on a plane to go see my cousins and get to hang out with my mom. And then, just all the things. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to take the time to rest. And then I said, Laurel, let's go back to intent. Let's go back to the overall goal, the overall vision, the impact that you're trying to make. You cannot make an impact if you never get out, if you never engage, if you just sit and wait for things to come to you, because things don't always come to you. So if you were trying to figure out where you're trying to go or what you're trying to do or how you're going to get more people engaged or get connected, one of the things that's important is for you to sit down, get really clear about what that vision is, and then what action do you need to take to make it happen? And are you willing to make that action happen? Because if you're not, that's okay. This is a space of no judgment. But as the moon says, don't get mad at the results you didn't get for the work you didn't do. So I can't be mad if I'm not seeing or reaching other women business owners, if I'm not getting out there and meeting other business owners and building relationships. Because for me, it's not just about the sale. But don't get me wrong, I got a mortgage to pay too, like everybody else, right? But it's not just about the sale. It's about connecting with someone, understanding what their vision is and how I can serve them to get to where they want to be. Because it's not about me. As a chief navigation officer, it's all about helping you navigate those crazy waters to get to your destination, not mine. That's why I call it chief navigation officer. I'm helping you steer clear of all that madness. I'm helping you see your path and plot alternative routes should they be needed. That's my genius. That's my expertise, right? Understanding and getting clear with you on your vision, and then taking all of my knowledge around HR and risk management and business processes and consulting and all of those things, and looking at the path and say, here's some things we need to think about. We might need to take this little detour just for this period of time, but we're still on the road to your destination. That's really critical, is that you're able to be flexible, adaptable, and resilient. And what I've learned, at least over the last few weeks, actually I've learned it for a long time, but I've really learned it over the last few weeks as life has been lifing, is it is critical to take time to figure out where you are. And if your nervous system is really anxious, if you're getting really down about stuff, if you're having really strange responses to things that didn't affect you before, take the time to figure out what that is, right? We've talked a lot about mental health. That's like the new thing. The new oat brand is mental health. And it's not just a keyword or theme of the day. You owe it to yourself as the incredible human that you are, who is delivering incredible services to people, right? Either as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a CEO, as a founder, as a wife, a mother, a sister, whatever, you owe it to yourself to be really, really clear on what it is that may be impacting you. Sit down, get still, get quiet, and figure out what it is. And whether or not the story you're telling yourself around what it is true, right? Because there are facts, there are things that are real, right? It's real that I left my charger. It's real that I needed to run get a couple more things this morning. It's real that I was getting on a plane, right? That I'm dealing with a crazy calendar. Those are facts. What's not real is that I have no control over the ability to respond to those things. That I'm just going to have to figure out how to nurse my battery for as long as I can, because I'm not going to be able to make it happen. That's just not true. It's not true that I have zero control. I have control. I can get an Uber. I can find an Apple store. I can get a charger, right? I could have walked to the store. It was only a 15-minute walk. I just had to think about the timing, right? There are always options to whatever situation you find yourself in, if you keep in mind your long-term ultimate goal. What are you really trying to do? Where are you trying to go? What is the impact you're trying to make, right? How are we making sure that as we show up and where we show up and how we show up and when we show up, all connects to what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go? How do we not let ourselves get in that stew of just being upset or being mad or being a victim or all of the things, right? And part of that is being humble enough and willing to seek support. It doesn't always have to be expert advice. You don't always have to have a therapist. I love my therapist. You guys know I am not ashamed about being in therapy. She's amazing. And the arrangement, right? The relationship has morphed over time. Very much still therapy, but there's a lot around business and entrepreneurship that comes up now, right? So it's not always just about professional help. Who's your village? Who are those folks you can go to that you can say, you know what, I'm not feeling right about this. I'm not feeling right about me. I don't think I can do this. I don't know what's going on. I'm just not feeling myself. Folks who may just come to your house, grab a bottle of wine and just sit down and say, look, we're just going to chat. Or folks who are going to pick you up and say, hey, we just need to get out of the house for a minute. We're not going to do anything important, but we're just going to get out and get some sun. Those folks, right? Maybe you have a mentor because you're dealing with something at work that you can call and say, look, I need a confidential conversation because I'm not sure how or if I can respond to this thing that's happening in a way that is authentic to me, that keeps me safe, but also enables me to ensure that folks know that this isn't okay. Those are important conversations to have. But in order for you to be able to have those, we have to know deep down that we have the opportunity to do something different, to respond differently, to act differently. That we do have some control and some flexibility and some opportunity and capability to do stuff different. We don't have to succumb to our surroundings. We don't have to succumb to the inconveniences, the things that just don't quite go our way. And we're seeing all around us that people are having a hard time processing not getting what they want. Road rage, people are beating people up. I mean, it's just nuts. All the mass shootings, all the things that are happening because we don't seem to be able to manage. No, we don't seem to be able to manage when things aren't the way we want them to be. We don't seem to be able to respond appropriately and have discourse that may be from different points of view without getting mad and angry and saying ugly stuff and doing stuff to people that can't be undone. I don't know about you guys, but I actually got on Threads. Can you believe it? I was like an early adopter. I'm stunned too. And it's a whole different vibe over there. And it's a lot. I had to turn off notifications because it is a lot. And as I'm watching some of these threads and what people are saying, it's very interesting that it's not the absence of controversial conversation at all. It's not the absence of opinions. It's not the absence, at least right now, of selling. But it is the absence of, so far, of conspiracy theories and nastiness and just ugly, crazy madness. And everybody that's on there is saying, we hope this is going to be different than Twitter. We hope this is a space where we can be happy and see puppies and have good conversations. People are intentionally making it a space that allows for safety, that allows for discourse, that is not censoring ideas and discussion, but is eliminating conspiracy theories and madness. So all the folks who are upset because they're not being able to spew their conspiracy theories and the things that aren't facts, the misinformation, they're really upset. Well, that's what happens when you spew lots of misinformation. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a whole meta thing. That's a whole different deal, right? And by the way, I am going to have some more people talking about AI. I did reach out, Jerry. I don't know if you're listening, but I did reach out to Adrian. Going to have him back on the show. You guys who haven't heard Adrian in a long time, he is an attorney, an employment attorney there in Houston. Going to have him back on the show. And we're going to talk about AI in the workplace because it's getting to be a big thing. It's a big thing everywhere. And there's thank you, V. There's a lawsuit that just happened, by the way. I know I'm all over the place, y'all. I told you, got to be flexible today. There's a lawsuit right now for some actors against OpenAI and ChatGPT around taking copyrighted information and using it to train their AI, right? And I cannot remember her name. I can see her face. And she went to ChatGPT and said, can you give me summaries of these books? They were her books. And it gave her excerpts verbatim. And those things are copyrighted. So they're not only getting not cited if ChatGPT uses them, they're not citing the author, but they're also not having permission to use copyrighted information, all the things, right? So as creators, we've got to think about that. But anyway, I digress. So as you go through kind of this last 6 months of the year, right? Which is the first place to start. Is it the last 6 months of the year? Or is it we have another 6 months to go in the year? It's all a matter of perspective. It's a matter of mindset, right? Either time is fleeting, and it's moving really fast, or, we still have time. We still have opportunities. As long as I'm on this side of the daisies, I have another opportunity to do something different. And that's the place that I want to stay. And when I come to places and I don't have a car, which is hard for a Texan, y'all, we like our vehicles. It's a control thing for me. I don't like to rely on anybody else to get me where I want to be. But when we come to places and things don't go where we want them to be, we forget a toothbrush, right? We forget whatever it is. We don't have the clothes that we wanted or the shoes that we wanted. We can sit and wallow, or we can remember we have a choice in how we respond. We have a choice in getting up and finding a solution. Now that solution may be, you know what? I can't do anything about this. I'm just going to have to wing it. It's a solution. And it's a learning opportunity. So next time you do something different. I've been telling myself for months, Laurel, get a travel charger for your laptop because you have to keep moving it around. And one of these days you're going to forget it. Today was that day. Right. But now I got my travel charger. It'll stay in my travel bag. Right. So now I don't have to worry about it. So not only do we take these opportunities to figure out how we can respond and remember that we have choice and we have control, but we also use it as an opportunity for learning. Like it says, I don't fail. I either win or I learn. I learned to go with my gut and immediately buy 2 chargers. I learned, right? Now, as we do these pop-ups, and Jerry and I do these pop-ups, to remember to put my earbuds in before I start the show, so I don't have to get up in the middle and y'all see me walking to go get the earbuds, so that I don't get feedback for you guys to hear, right? Little things that we can sit and wallow and be upset and just get angry, and everybody sees it radiating off of us. And we can't get our messages across. We can't communicate well. We can't connect well because our minds are all caught up in our emotions, and our emotions are all caught up in the thing that's not going the way we want it to go. Or we can decide in the moment to take our choices, to be the leader and the manager and the owner of our emotions and our responses. We have a choice. We always have a choice. And I choose to sit in flexibility, adaptability. How are we going to make this happen? Where are we going to make some responses that are going to be a little bit different? How are we going to change some things up? That's where I choose to sit. Because here's the deal. If you don't figure out how to respond with a level of flexibility and adaptability, every single thing that happens to you is going to throw you way off your game. And that's not to say we don't have things that throw us a curve. That's called life. But our ability to see those things, experience those things, and respond to them in a way that does protect us, right? Keeps us as safe as possible, but also helps us keep moving forward towards the things that we're trying to accomplish. That's learning. That's leadership. Because remember, leadership is about behavior, not about position. And leaders see those kind of things happening. They can anticipate them most of the time. But when they see those things happening, not only are they able to respond, but they were able to get their team in a mindset that says, you know what, it's good. We can figure it out. Here's what happened. It's not what we expected, but it happened. So our only choice is to respond in a way that keeps us on task, keeps us on goal, right? We might have to move some other things around. We might have to reprioritize. There may be something that doesn't get done in lieu of getting something else done. Those are choices. And as long as we make those choices with eyes wide open, as long as we make those choices with an understanding of the impact of those choices on other things, then we keep moving. But we always have a choice. We always have a choice. And my choice, instead of not doing the show this week, was, you know what, we're going to do a pop-up in New York. And it just so happened I had run across Lounge Studios the last time I was in New York. I couldn't make it happen then. But the last time I was in New York, I happened to run across them. And so when I was finally getting my mind right and figuring out we're not going to cancel this show because we weren't here for the holiday, because Jerry and I took a break that we much needed. At least I did. I can't speak for Jerry, but I needed it. I said, I'm not going to not do the show for 2 weeks in a row because I love doing it. I love connecting with you guys. I don't want to be not available for 2 weeks in a row. And there's going to be another week in August and all these kind of things when I can't do it. So we're going to figure this out. And I thought, aha, Lounge Studios. And I sent a note. They had a room, and here we are. And here's the other thing that I learned in doing that is I'm in a studio that does, as I said, podcasts. People do videos here. This used to be one of the big record company headquarters. I didn't know that, which is really cool. So that's why they've got all these rooms. But it used to be, I think he said A&R. used to be their headquarters. So they've got all of these rooms, these really cool rooms where people can make videos and music videos, can record music, can record podcasts, live shows like we're doing now. And so I reached out and they happened to have availability. And when I got into this room that is so cute, I saw the two mics, I saw the Rodecaster, I saw all the things. And I was like, oh yeah, see, let me get my little setup that I know. This is how I know to make things work, right? My laptop, my computer, my camera, this is what I know works. Adaptable and flexible. What it also told me was every time I do one of these pop-ups, my go kit changes, right? I've changed my mic. I'm getting ready to purchase some better portable mics, right? Wireless microphones. My camera works really great. Actually, my webcam, it's kind of a pain to travel with. So I'm going to look at, are there other webcams that make a little bit more sense? I've got my tripod set up, all good to go. That one works. I've been working with that one for a while, so that works. But the other piece is, I could probably be using better audio. I could be into their system where they could be recording it. I could do all of these other things. But what that requires is taking time to learn a little bit more around the technology, which I have avoided. Not because I'm not tech savvy or because I avoid technology, but because I know me. Remember the first thing I said under alignment, know you, know who you are. I know me, and it's very comfortable for me to sit in learning how all the things work. How are the details? How do we hook it up? How do we make sure I could sit in that learning and getting deep in that? That doesn't drive any revenue. That doesn't get me out connecting with people where I can make an impact, where I can connect them with someone else. I love connecting folks to other people. If I'm not out doing that, then I'm not able to connect people. I'm not able to connect with people, which means I'm not able to fulfill my vision and make the impact I want to make. And it's the same for you, right? I know that it is important for me to have a different go bag, for me to understand a little bit more about how roadcasters work and all these kind of things. That would be great to have enough knowledge to be dangerous. It also points out that when we talk about the things where we need to operate and where we need to use our energy, we need to use our energy for our genius. There's always going to be stuff you have to do that you don't love, right? That there's sending out invoices, there's cleaning your house, there's all the things, right, that we don't love to do, but that need to get done. And so the question for you becomes, in that idea of being adaptable, being flexible, being able to have choices, what do you take off your plate? What do you delegate? What do you train someone else to do that frees up your time to account for the need to be flexible and adaptable and to swerve when necessary? Because it's going to happen. I could learn all of this stuff so that when I have my go bag, I can hook up to everybody else's things, right? All the things are good. I could spend all that time learning that. Or I could connect with my current podcast producer, who's amazing, and say, here's what I saw. Let's talk about getting my go bag ready so that wherever I go and wherever I pop up, I can connect to whatever and it's good to go. And if something happens, I can still respond because I know enough about the stuff that I have that it's all good. Either way, it's all good. Learning to be adaptable and flexible and understanding that no matter what happens, you do have a response to that. You can weather the storm. You can make a different choice. You can figure out how to rig it up so it'll work. We are much more creative and talented and resilient and responsive than we give ourselves credit for. Because what's happening is we get myopic. We get laser focused on the thing and how the thing is going to work, right? We get focused on the how. Laser focused on the how. And when that how is a little bit off, it throws us completely off. Because the flowers didn't show up when we wanted them to show up. Well, we can't have the event because the flowers aren't here. Really? Because the flowers are the event? Or are the people the event? And then you just figure something else out. Maybe you go get some candles, some really great vases, something else. You move some chairs around. You do something else to make it gorgeous. But you don't veer away from your vision or your goal because the flowers didn't get there. You don't not show up for your studio time because you left your charger. You don't not have your radio show because you needed to figure out how to set everything up. You don't cut off the whole show because you needed to go grab your earbuds because you forgot to put them on in the very beginning. Right? Don't upend yourself. Don't take yourself out of the game because how something occurred wasn't the way you planned it. Yes, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. That's really important. I'm a planner. I like to have a plan A through Z. I like to be ready. And I know you can't plan for everything. You can't be ready for everything. It's just not possible. But what you can do is know yourself well enough, be focused enough on the ultimate goal to allow for flexibility in the how. Allow for flexibility of all the life stuff that's going to show up, because it is going to show up. And it's going to show up loud and proud. And it's going to be challenging and uplifting and sometimes feel unsafe and threatening, but it's not insurmountable. It is absolutely possible for you to take those lemons you got and make lemonade. Maybe even Arnold Palmer if you got the right ingredients. It is not necessary to just crater. And I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to y'all. Every once in a while, we do have to take a knee. I had to do that over the July 4th week. I just needed a minute. I needed a break. I was just exhausted, mentally, emotionally, physically, just exhausted. I needed a minute. And you know what? I get to take that minute and not feel guilty about it. Because I can. What does Tabitha Brown say? Because it's my business. I get a chance to take that minute. Because I knew if I didn't take that minute then, I was going to be forced to take that minute later on when I was tired or had a migraine or whatever. I hurt myself because I wasn't paying attention, right? Some muscle locked up on me. I was going to be forced to pause. But in that pause, it enabled me to get a little bit deeper and a little bit clearer on some things that have been just blocks, that have been things that I needed to overcome in order to show up for you and to serve you. Right? We all have those moments of crises of confidence. We all have those moments where we go to our comfort zone that may or may not have anything to do with our ultimate goal. Because that's what Gay Hendricks calls, right, the zone of excellence. Those things you do exceptionally well, but you don't love them. You don't love them. But everybody else asks you to do them too because you're so good at them. But they just don't make you happy. They don't fill you up. They take your time, they take your energy, but they don't replenish you. You know, for me, there's a number of things I do really, really well. I'm an exceptional HR person. I don't love HR. All of the detailed compliance stuff of HR, I just hate. The constant battle of he said, she said just makes me crazy, right? Babysitting adults, I can't stand it, right? Issues with integrity and communication and all the things that you find in big organizations just make me a little insane. And the fact that there is often not a very big appreciation for HR. That's not all the corporation's organization. It's also the fault of the function that for years was just pushing paper and then all of a sudden decided they wanted to be strategic with people who don't necessarily have a strategic mindset, right? So we can't place the blame as HR people. We can't place the blame on just organizations. We had a big part in all of that. But even though I don't love it, I'm really, really good at it. And so there are a lot of people who really want me to do the HR stuff. And there's a couple of people that I'll do it for. They're special, right? That I'll do it for. But the genius zone is using that excellence using that knowledge, using that expertise combined with the other pieces of my genius to bring together this package of information and guidance and navigation for women business owners who are moving from founder to CEO. That's the impact I want to make. That brings me joy, and I've seen it bring them joy as they're able to move and grow their businesses and move into the places they want to be. That is why I didn't lose my mind when I left my charger. That's why I didn't lose my mind when I don't know what's going on with Chase, right? I had to figure out how to just do something different, how to just respond. Because you know what? I can't fix it right now. I can't go back and get the charger. And I need to be able to use my technology. So I have to make another choice. So when you get in those situations, whether that's with your boss, with your team, with a supervisor, with a person in a relationship, whatever it is, the situation is what it is. You can't undo it. You might be able to redo it, but it happened. The facts are it happened. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to respond to it? What's going to be your next move for your ability to keep moving forward towards whatever goal, desire you have? Are you going to sit and be mad and wallow for days, years, months? Or are you going to choose how that's going to show up in your life and how you're going to show up in your life for those people who need you to show up? Because you have a choice. You have a choice. We're going to do some shout outs here in a minute. I love doing these pop-ups, y'all. I'm trying to figure out how I can do a pop-up like more in public kind of, but the noise is just going to be so bad. And I don't want that to be a distraction. So we're going to figure out how to do some of that too. A roaming pop-up. May just have to let y'all know, hey, this is a roaming pop-up. So it's going to be a little bit noisy, but we're going to figure that out because I want to be out amongst the people too. Well, not really, but sort of. I'm like, let's just be real. I know me. So I don't necessarily want to be around big old crowds, but I would like to be out there and be able to see and meet you guys. So, because Helsinki, I'm still coming. All right, Jerry. Right? Who gonna be there? Right? That's funny. I was just seeing this meme. It's like, that's one of the things that we always ask, who all over there? Because that has an impact on whether or not I actually show up. Yay. Ooh. Ooh, Freetown. Yay. I love it. Hey, New York, all you New Yorkers, I will find a place. Here's the thing. If there are places that you guys know of, hit me up on social, right? That are good places to come do a live show. Just send me a thing on social and say, hey, if you're ever in this city, here's a great place you could go do a show. And then I'll reach out to the owners or operators of that place and see if there's a way, if I'm coming in town, to be able to do a pop-up show there. Because that way I get to meet more of you and all that kind of stuff. Shake your hand, see what you're doing, see how you're making the world a better place, all that good stuff. So yeah, so we're going to try to do some of that more. Even around Houston, Jerry and I were talking about doing pop-ups last year. So Jerry, we still got to do that. Find some places to just pop up for the show. So we're gonna be doing some more pop-ups. All right. So I do want to talk about voting, and then I'll come back and wrap up with the whole resilience thing, because that's kind of what I started talking about today, right? I hadn't meant to talk about resilience, but that's what happened. Get registered, get educated, exercise your right to vote. It is really important because elections have consequences, and we are seeing the consequences of the elections that we've had. Pay attention to the people who are running for office. I just noted, and I didn't say this on the last show. Did y'all see that the governor of Illinois just outlawed banning books? You can't ban books in Illinois. Yeah, can he run for president? Right. That's what I'm talking about. Boss moves like that, right? That are actually making things available for everybody as opposed to taking things away from people. That's what I'm talking about. Hill Harper, I just saw, is trying to run in Michigan. The actor Hill Harper. I just saw that. I don't know what his platform is or anything, but I just saw that announcement that he's trying to run. It's starting, y'all. It is July of 2023. The big federal elections are in 2024. It is time to go get registered and check your registration and pay attention to the rules in your state. They are changing them. We did see, thank goodness, Alabama's going to have to rewrite their district maps. There was another state too, and it's just escaping me right now. I'm hoping League of Women Voters and some others are putting Texas's maps up there too, and that people are going to be saying, that little district that looks like a Z that's disenfranchising folks, that's got to be redone. So I'm hoping it's going to happen in Texas as well. It is time. It is time for us to take voting seriously on a more collective scale. It is important for those reasonable adults to sit up and sign up and show up, right? I'm talking about all the folks in the middle, not the folks that all have the same perspective on stuff. That's not necessary. What is necessary is a level of intellectual maturity and a willingness to act, get registered, and vote, and not allow these things that are trying to disenfranchise voting to stand. That's what we're talking about, right? So at least we got some reprieve from the Supreme Court around voting, so they didn't get to completely decimate, the Voting Rights Act. So they did not give all of this power to governors and I think state legislatures over the state, the elections that happened in the state. Thank goodness, because that would have been a hot mess. So there is some light, right? And we got to stand in possibility, y'all. We have to stand in possibility because it's getting kind of scary out there. It's getting kind of scary out there. So go get registered. Find somebody who needs to get registered. Check your registration. Make sure you are still on the rolls. Go find out where your ballot is and what's on the ballot, who's on the ballot. Go check their social media. Go check all of their social media for years back, right? Because people think they can scrub everything, but they can't. Somebody took a screenshot at some point of something somebody did, right? So go really get educated about the people who are running to represent you on school boards, because that is like the next frontier of radicalism is school boards, right? People wanting to ban just about everything and run curriculum when I believe that teachers are actually educated to teach, and most of them have advanced degrees, including in curriculum design. How about we let the experts figure out what that should be, okay? And all of these laws that are just namby-pamby that teachers are now afraid to say anything in the classroom. So pay attention to your school board elections, okay? That's the next frontier. So pay attention to the folks that are running. Don't let just anybody get on your school board. Don't let just anybody get on your city council. Don't let just anybody get on your county, in your county positions, right? It starts local. So get registered, exercise your right to vote, get educated about the issues so that you can vote in your best interest and for the best interest of your community. All right. So we have to wrap it up here a little bit early today, only because the studios are kind of back to back in getting some things, some people in and out of the studio space. And I want to make sure to be respectful of that. So I want you guys this week, as you are moving through life, travel delays, wildfires and bad air, electricity unreliable, all of these storms that are happening, all of the things, right? All the things, to remember that you have a vision and a goal. and to sit and decide whether or not that thing that is occurring to you, for you, about you, around you in the moment is important enough to derail you from the ultimate goal. And if not, how do you then respond to it in a way that is reasonable? That may require you to flex or be innovative or think differently or do something differently or talk to somebody you never wanted to talk to. But it's not the end of the world. It enables you to keep moving forward and to get to that ultimate place where you are making an impact. You are able to serve. You are able to deliver what you want to deliver in this world. And that one thing, that one incident, that one person isn't able to take you completely off your game. Because that one situation is not worth you losing all of your stuff, right? Not worth you losing your vision and the impact. And it's not worth it to all the people who need you. Because there's somebody out there who needs your genius, someone out there who needs what you have to give, your skills, your expertise. It is valuable. Experience still matters. Expertise still matters, right? Creativity still matters. Even in the world of AI, the human touch, the human outpouring of creativity and innovation and compassion is still needed. So don't just sit back and let stuff happen to you. Participate in what's going on. Take some time to decide how you're going to respond to stuff and make a decision about how you're going to let it impact you. Are you going to let it take you off your game for that day? Are you going to just take a knee? Because sometimes we need to. Sometimes you need to take a knee for a minute, but then get back up because there's another day and another battle to fight. And someone is looking for you to show up. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining me here in NYC. I love it. Thank you, Lounge Studios, for hosting me today. It was really cool. I have just had the best time. I'm going to go try to take some more pictures of some of the rooms so you guys will see it because it's just a really cool space. And I will be posting and tagging them as well. Thank you for listening to the show from around the world. Again, please get on my social media. You can get to me on my new website, laurelrutledge.com, my refreshed website. All of my social is there. My podcast is there. We'll be releasing a podcast again this week, but it might be on Thursday instead of Wednesday this week, just because I am popping up here. So I've got to go get it recorded so I can get it to Jay so he can get it all out there. But thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Get to me on social media. And if you're in one of these cities that's listening to me and there's a great place to pop up, let me know where that is. Send me a DM, send me an email, send me something and let me know. Because then when I get to that city, I can reach out to them and maybe I can pop up and do a live with more people around instead of in a studio. Because I really would like to be out there and get to meet some of you guys who are tuning in every week to the show. The podcast will drop this week. I'll make an announcement for that. Keep looking for that. Thank you for following the podcast as well. We're almost at 20,000 downloads, which is awesome. It's been a really great uptick in podcast listeners and downloads. So I appreciate that as well. Thank you for tuning in. We will catch you next week. I'll be back in the studio in Houston next week for the show. And then catch at the end of the month, I believe, Legina Ray is going to be back in studio with me there. So I'll get all that announced too. And then I'll get Adrian on the books too to talk about AI and ChatGPT and all the things in the workplace. So even if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a smaller business with a smaller team, you got to be thinking about this AI thing too. So it's for all of us. So I'll get him in there and we'll talk about that in terms of what it means with working and employees and all that stuff. All right, Jerry. Thank you. Will do. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll try not to do what you wouldn't do, Jerry. All right, y'all. Have a good one. Take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.